I've heard of it, you've heard of it, we've all heard of it, and honestly, aren't we a little bit scared of it? I know I am. It's AI. So AI now more than ever kind of feels like it's taking over, in my opinion, for lack of a better phrase. And if you were around for the NaNoWriMo drama, I'm sure you have an opinion on AI and writing. So I thought it would be fun to give AI different writing prompts and kind of see / score how they did. And for this video, I'm primarily going to be using ChatGPT. I know there's lots of different AI platforms, software, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. It freaks me out. But I'm going to be using ChatGPT because it's free. So let's get into it. So I have 6 prompts that I'm going to give it, and then at the end we can kind of talk about our thoughts. So my first prompt is create a unique character. My second prompt is create a character that is not like other girls. My third prompt is tell me about any kind of family dynamic you find interesting for a book. Number 4 is tell me a scene that involves a fight. So basically write me a fight scene. Number 5 is write me a scene that involves a heist. And then number 6 is write me a scene involving 2 characters where one or both of them confesses their love for each other. So I wanted to see how AI would do, and I thought it would be fun. So let's get into it. So let's log into ChatGPT. Let's give it the first prompt. So the first prompt is create a unique character. Let's see what it comes up with. Oh wow, this name, I do not know if I can pronounce this. Their name is spelled first name Lysara space last name Vellith. I would pronounce that as Lysara Billith. I don't know. She has a species. She's Lumen, which is spelled Lumyn, an ancient race that absorbs and reflects light. Appearance: 5 feet 10 inches. Skin: opalescent, shifting between pale gold and silver hues like moonlight on water. Eyes: deep violet with bioluminescent flecks that change with her emotions. I'm not gonna lie, that idea is pretty cool. That sounds pretty interesting. I like that. Hair: long silken strands of glowing white that seem to float in zero gravity. She has a lot going on. Clothing: a sleeveless, asymmetrical robe of woven starlight threads that dims in shadow but shines brightly in moonlight, adorned with fragments of crystal memory stones. There's a lot of like light technology stuff going on. Wow, this is quite long actually. Okay, so her backstory. Lysara hails from the Prim Spire, which is in italics, a floating sanctuary that orbits a dying star. Her people are keepers of forgotten light, memories from extinct worlds stored in crystalline matrices. You know what? Hold the fuck on. We gotta learn how to pronounce some shit. Pronunciation. There is nothing worse than looking dumb. I think I said it right the first time. Matrices, that's what it says. Okay. Matrices. After a cosmic event shattered her home and scattered its archives across the galaxy, Lysara became a memory warden, traveling world to world to recover the remnants of her civilization's past before they fade forever. Abilities. Memory Weave. Can extract and replay fragments of memory from objects and people through light projection. Gleam Step. That's a fun name. I'm not gonna lie about that either. Can teleport short distances by bending light around her form. Okay. Radiant Pulse emits a blinding flash of pure light energy as a last resort, stunning foes or dispelling shadow entities. You know what? Let's just finish and then I'll say my thoughts. Personality. Quietly curious, poetic, and introspective. Lysara sees every life form as a thread in the grand tapestry of existence. She's driven not by power, but preservation of truth, memory, and beauty. She speaks in a melodic tone and often quotes forgotten texts. Signature quote: "The universe forgets too easily. I am its memory made flesh." Okay, interesting. So yeah, I will say overall it's not bad. I feel like they have some interesting qualities to give her, and yeah, I will say this is primarily focused on plot though. It doesn't really tell me much about her as a person, the other characters that she would be interacting with in the story, and I feel like that's where AI lacks. Like, I honestly feel like most of this is pretty interesting, but because we don't really know, her backstory is only revolving around plot, I just don't feel like that's just not very fun, right? Like, the whole reason we read books and we watch stories and we watch TV and television is so we can see other characters interact with each other, right? So it seems like she's gonna be on like a pretty boring journey, just bouncing back to back. Now, again, I did just ask it for just one character, so, you know, it could come up with something later, but yeah, let me know what you think about her in the comments. Okay, next prompt. Create a character that is not like other girls. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Okay. Create a character that is, and I'm gonna put it in quotation marks too, not like other girls. Let's see what happens. Absolutely. Here's a fresh take on the not like other girls trope. Avoiding cliches and creating some genuinely unique, layered, and compelling, they didn't finish the sentence, and compelling semicolon. Name, Tova Rix. It is spelled Tova space Rix. Age, 19. Pronouns, she, they. Setting, urban fantasy / modern magical realism. This AI really likes like the magical aspect of things. 5. Imagine if Wednesday Addams, a street artist, and an amateur cryptozoologist formed a band. Tova would be the bassist. That's a lot to unpack there. Let's keep going. Appearance, hair, cropped choppy black with hand-dyed streaks, faded green and fire orange. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty interesting. I like when characters have like really unique fashion or really unique traits about them, so I think that's actually pretty cool. Eyes, one is pale hazel, the other is a glass prosthetic with a swirling galaxy design. Okay, style. Combat boots, oversized black hoodie with knife patch embroidery, cargo skirt with 2 mini pockets, and always carries a pocket-sized field journal. Again, I am kind of liking the fashion. I think that that's interesting. Signature accessory, a necklace made from discarded machine parts and bones. Each one found on a weird night. The bones is really what's getting me, bones. A necklace made from discarded machine parts and bones. Each one found on a weird night. Backstory. Tova was born under a blood moon. Ooh, Zelda vibes, anyone? In a forgotten town with no name on any map. Raised by a retired cryptid hunter grandma. Hell yeah, grandma. She grew up on bedtime stories about shadow beasts, alternate timelines, and cursed vending machines. Yeah, you know what? F that vending machine that doesn't give you your soda. Everyone thought she was making things up until she wasn't. She once trapped a minor chaos spirit in a lunchbox at school. Okay, I will say they had me up until the last sentence because I feel like a lot is going on, right? Like what, I don't really know a lot about like what she's able to do, why she's able to do it. I do like that they put in that she was raised by a retired cryptid hunter grandma. I think that gives us a little bit more of her backstory. So I do think this backstory is a lot stronger than the previous one, but the ending is really throwing me off. She once trapped a minor chaos spirit in a lunchbox at school. Even though that sounds kind of funny, it doesn't really tell me anything about what she's able to do, why there's problems, things like that. I don't know. It's just bothering me. Maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Abilities. Paradox sense. Can smell, in quotation marks, when reality is glitching or magic is near. Interesting. She can smell it. I will say it's not like most abilities. Not like other girls. Deadpan charm. Monsters, ghosts, and outcasts tend to like her instinctively. Ooh, I'm not gonna lie, that's cool too. Witch graffiti. What she paints becomes semi-real in moonlight for 12 minutes max. Interesting. That's weird. I would be kind of pissed off if it was only there for 12 minutes. Personality. Likes abandoned planes. DIY zines. DIY zines? What is a zine? DIY zines? Let's look that up too. DIY. Oh, I don't know how to describe this. Maybe I'll put a picture of it in. I've never heard of this until now. Interesting. And they're kind of like little booklets. Yeah, I'll put a picture in. So she likes abandoned planes, DIY zines, frog-themed memes, burnt coffee. Oh, girl, not the burnt coffee. Dislikes being underestimated, glow-up culture, small talk. Portrait, unapologetically herself, Tova doesn't rebel against norms. She just ignores them like they were never real to begin with. She's not aloof. She just sees different things than most people do. Signature quote, I'm not weird. Oh, it's giving Jughead. I'm not weird. The world is just exceptionally boring unless you tilt your head. I do like the second piece, but exceptionally boring unless you tilt your head. That is interesting. I will say this feels stronger than the last person that we got. I feel like this person has more personality, whereas the other person was just mainly just her abilities and where she was from. And yeah, she did have a lot of like descriptive features, but this feels like a more fleshed out character person. Yeah, I will say this is stronger. This is stronger in my opinion. opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, though, I feel like so much is happening, and I feel like you don't need to have like 13 different things like for each trait, right? Like you don't have to have like, you know, super weird abilities, really extreme like likes and dislikes, you know, like it could be something simple. It doesn't always have to be something so far out there, because if every single thing about a character is out there or not like other people, for me it kind of takes me out of it, because that's just like, it's a lot, you know, like that's just a lot. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just hating on AI because I really don't like it. Okay, let's keep going. Next prompt. You know what? Let's skip a few because the video is getting kind of long. So let's go to write me a scene that involves a fight. It says, absolutely, here's a vivid emotional fight scene starring Tova. Oh, we got Tova! Starring Tova Ricks in an urban fantasy setting. It balances action with her unique personality and powers. Maybe I should have asked it to do it separately, but I'm just gonna go with it. Scene. The night, the street bled color. Setting, a deserted alley in the old district where the walls breathe and street art sometimes moves when no one's looking. That's cool. Rain hisses softly on neon lights overhead. Tova pressed her back against the cold brick wall, heart pounding, clutching a half-finished can of matte black spray paint. The mural she'd been painting, a massive horned rabbit with glowing eyes, oh no, had twitched. Then the air cracked open like glass and it stepped out. A crawling echo, half smoke, half shadow, all hate. It hissed. You defaced its symbol. Tova rolled her neck unimpressed. Yeah, well, I thought your death god's vibe needed less fascist undertones. Oh my. Oh my, listen, as a Christian, this is kind of scary to read. The creature lunged. Tova dropped, rolled, and yanked a slingshot from her hoodie. She flicked a glass bead loaded with salt and grave ash. It hit the echo square in its smoke chest, sizzling like bacon. It screeched, more like a modem dying than an animal, and swung a tendril at her. The strike caught her across the ribs. She hit the ground hard, breath whooshing out. Tova grinned through the pain. Oh, Lord. That line gets me. She grinned through the pain. Okay. I'm so tough. I can handle immense pain. Probably just cracked a flippin' rib and she's fine though. It's just funny. Big mistake, she whispered. She pulled out a Sharpie. I'm sorry, that's funny. A Sharpie and her field journal, flipping to a half-drawn glyph. With one hand, she completed the sigil and slapped her palm against the wet alley wall. So she's given like Psy vibes from Naruto right now. The graffiti rabbit behind her blinked, then leapt from the bricks. 12 minutes of borrowed magic. That's right, it is nighttime. The painted beast tackled the echo mid-air, claws raking through its form like light, slicing smoke. Tova stood, one hand holding her ribs, the other digging into her pocket. She pulled out a bone charm tied with copper wire and whispered, bind. The alley pushed with color, purple, crimson, electric teal. Charm lit up. The echo screamed, collapsing forward, swallowed by a loop of vibrating static until all that was left was a smear of shadow and a cracked lens on the wet pavement. Silence. Tova exhaled and stay glitched. Yeah, you tell us, sister. Her graffiti rabbit wavered, nodded, and melted back into the bricks with a shimmer. Tova limped to the edge of the alley and tossed the charm into a storm drain. Then, grinning to herself, she muttered, I told them art saves lives. This one, I feel like it started off decent, but the longer it went on, I don't know, it didn't really feel like that much of a fight to me. Like, the other guy only got like one little punch, one slide in. And again, I feel like this is mainly plot driven. I don't feel like it's really the characters making a lot of choices or the characters being organic. Like, I don't know, we don't really know much about the graffiti rabbit, what his beef is, why he would have such a problem with Tova. I feel like there should be more internal conflict. I feel like there's a lot of external conflict going on. I feel like there should be more internal conflict. I feel like there's a lot of external conflict going on, but I would like personally for there to be more internal issues happening. That's my opinion. I will say, I feel like the external stuff is written like decently. Like, I don't feel like it's written super terrible, but I'm just not really pulled into the story, if that makes sense. And I think it's because of the lack of the internal conflict. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do tell me a scene involving two characters where one or both of them confesses their love to each other. That sounds fun. Two, I'm gonna say in parentheses, different characters. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. Absolutely. Here's a soft, emotionally charged love confession scene between two characters characters, I think Ira, her name is spelled E-I-R-A, and June, J-U-N, who are both a bit guarded but have known each other for years. It's quiet, slow burn, and real. That's a really bad sales pitch. Scene on the rooftop after the storm. Setting, a dim rooftop just after a summer thunderstorm. The city still glows faintly with rain light. You can hear the hum of neon signs and distant magic drifting upwards. June and Ira sit side by side on an old blanket, knees just barely touching. A lot of justs. Ira hugged her knees, the fabric of her hoodie still damp from the walk up. June sat next to her, fiddling with a cracked lighter he didn't even as a crutch word, smoke with. Just something to do with his hands. Let me read that again, I'm sorry, because there's a lot of crutch words in that. Ira hugged her knees, the fabric of her hoodie still damp from the walk up. June sat next to her, fiddling with a cracked lighter he didn't even smoke with. Just something to do with his hand. The silence between them was soft, not awkward, familiar. Still afraid of heights? June asked, flicking the lighter once more. Ira smirked. Only when I'm not mad at the world. Right now, I don't care if I fall. June looked at her but said nothing. Just let the weight of her words hang. The wind picked up slightly, tugging a strand of hair across her cheek. Yeah, that's what it says. The wind picked up slightly, tugging a strand of hair across her cheek. That wording, the word tugging, I don't know. That makes me seem like it's in her cheek. That's weird. June, without thinking, reached out and brushed it behind her ear. She blinked, stilled. Sorry, he said quietly, pulling his hand back. Don't be. There was a pause, and then, I think about this all the time, June said quietly, eyes focused on the skyline. Not the rooftop, not the rain, just sitting next to you, wondering if you feel the same way and being too much of a coward to ask. Ira swallowed. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. I thought you didn't notice. I noticed everything. The lighter clicked again. June finally looked at her, really looked. I don't know how to say it right. I'm not poetic like you, but he hesitated. I love you. Not just in the casual way. In the my brain replays how you laugh when you think no one hears way. In the I memorize your weird coffee orders way. I love you like you live in my bones now. Ira was quiet. She then reached over and took the lighter from his hand, setting it gently beside them. Her fingers lingered on his. I was waiting for you to say it first, she whispered. He blinked. I didn't want to risk losing you, she added, softer now, but the truth is, I love you like you're the safest place I've ever known. And I've never had many of those. Okay, personally, maybe I'm just bitter and old, but when people talk like this, I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, what are you saying? That's just me. June let out a shaky breath, like something that had been locked in his chest finally exhaled. She leaned in, forehead resting lightly against his. Neither kissed, not yet. Just stayed there, letting the moment be exactly enough. I feel like, again, the same problem. It was okay. I'm not really pulled in personally. I don't know much about them as individuals. All of this is just basic, if that makes sense. Like basic, oh, I didn't want to lose you. I was waiting for you to say it first. I love you like you're in my bones now. Like that, again, none of that really tells me anything about them personally and what they went through as a couple or as friends or as enemies or anything like that. So I feel like it's not personalized. We're just getting a lot of, in general, ways to describe things. Does that make sense? So yeah, I definitely feel like the human aspect is not in this. Number 3, tell me about any kind of family dynamic that you find interesting for a book. Let's see what happens. This is going to be interesting for me because I love a good found family trope. I think there is almost nothing better in a book than a good found family. AI says, here's a family dynamic that's rich, complex, and perfect for a character-driven book, especially one with emotional depth, secrets, and personal transformation. Family dynamic, the estranged siblings who must reunite to inherit a secret legacy. Core setup. 3 adult siblings, once extremely close in childhood, have grown apart after a traumatic event fractured their family. They haven't all been in the same room in over a decade. Each one is wildly different now. Different lives, cities, philosophies, but they're forced back together when their eccentric, recently deceased grandmother leaves them a mysterious inheritance under one condition. They must live together in her isolated house for 30 days. This sounds a lot like the inheritance games. I will say though, again, we're missing more of internal conflict. So it just says have grown apart after a traumatic event fractured their family. Well, what was it? What was the event? Tell me about what tore them apart as siblings, as people. Okay, let's go. The siblings, the eldest, Ariella, spelled Aurelia. The responsible one, of course, the responsible one who became a high-powered corporate lawyer. You go, girl. Emotionally distant, secretly blamed herself for the rift. The middle, Jonas. That's a cool name. The runaway. He vanished after the trauma and now lives off-grid. That's cool too. Half wild and deeply skeptical of everything. He's reluctant to even be there. The youngest, Mar, the peacekeeper, a sensitive soul turned therapist, desperate to heal the family and discover the truth behind what really tore them apart. I will say I do like how they're all very different. I think that is interesting. The twist, the grandmother's house isn't just a home, it's an archive of forgotten memories. What is with this AI and forgotten memories? Like, is it worried that we're all gonna forget everything? Good Lord. In each room, she's hidden pieces of her childhood, secrets she's kept from them, letters, recordings, or magical memory windows that let them see events they don't remember correctly. I feel like also this AI really loves magic. I feel like every single thing we've read has had some form of magic, which is fine, but I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that turn, you know what I mean? That let them see events they don't remember correctly. They each remember the family trauma differently, and the truth may be stranger, sadder, or more liberating than they ever imagined. Okay, that part is interesting. Tell me what each sibling thinks happens from their own perspective. Again, the people aspect, the human aspect, what makes them a human. Tell me about the characters. Why does this sibling feel like it happened this way? Why does this sibling feel like it happened this way? Why does the last sibling feel like it happened another way? You know, that's why people want to know stories. That's why people want to read. And I do think that would be interesting. That would be a very interesting book to read. But because we don't have that, I'm uninterested. Does that make sense? Oh, speaking of, what makes it interesting? Big bold letters. Bullet point number 1. Memory versus reality. Everyone's version of the past is slightly off. What really happened? What was love and what was damage? Bullet point number 2. Inheritance of emotion. Not just wealth, but trauma, silence, and compassion can be passed down through generations. Forced proximity. They must learn to coexist, cook together. I love how that's the second thing. They must learn how to coexist, cook together. God forbid. I will say cooking with someone that gets on your nerves is hard. So, I mean, that's just, I don't know, that was funny. That threw me off. Fight old battles and maybe forgive. 4th bullet point, a house as a living character. The house changes with them. Locked doors opening when emotional breakthroughs happen. Creepy? Tender? Both. I don't know. For me, the magic part is really taking me out of the story. I think the story would be stronger if there was no magic and it was just these 3 siblings' perspectives and what they feel like happened and why they feel like it happened that way. To me, I would be more interested in reading that. For me, the magic aspect takes me out of it for this particular story. 5th bullet point says, emotional slow burn. No cheap fixes. Trust is rebuilt painfully and slowly with real setback. I do think that is interesting because I feel like normally when you think about slow burn, you think about romance, but this is a slow burn in terms of like, are the siblings going to reunite again? And I do think that is interesting. But again, we don't know like why. Like, what was the traumatic thing that happened? Why do all of the siblings see it differently? How does each sibling see it differently? Like, what is their own fresh perspective? That is what I want to read. You know what I mean? And then I skipped this one too, but let's do it. Number 5 is tell me a scene that involves a heist. It says, absolutely. Here is a tense, stylish heist scene with a mix of action, attitude, and clever twists. The crew is mid-mission inside a high security art museum at night, of course. They're not your typical criminals, they're specialists, and this job is personal. Scene, the frame job. Setting, the Astra Modern, an elite art museum in a glass tower, 2:13 a.m. Very specific, I like that. The target, a painting that shouldn't exist. The fall of light, banned and hidden for decades. Characters in play, Ree, spelled R-E-I. The planner, a cool-headed strategist in sleek black with neutral interface glasses. Cass, the lockpicker and escape artist with nerves of steel and a love of chaos. Miles, the inside man working undercover as museum security for 3 months. The silent alarm should have stayed silent, okay? But it chirped, barely audible. What is that? The silent alarm should have stayed silent, but it chirped. Barely audible though. And Ray's eyes widened behind her lenses. "We're off book," she muttered into her calm. "Miles, talk to me," crackling in her ear. Then Miles' voice strained. "New system came online tonight. Silent tripwire in the north hallway. I didn't know. It wasn't on any of the schematics." Ray switched her lens feed. Two guards were approaching fast, one with a stun baton, the other with an anti-intrusion drone trailing like a metal wasp. All of this because an alarm barely chirped, like just barely. "We've got 90 seconds, Ray said. "Cass, override now. I'll intercept." "Love when you get bossy," Cash smirked, already digging into the vault panel, pulling out a roll of magnetic rewiring strips and her trusty decoder key. Ray slipped into the shadows like she was born in them. She moved fast, low, her boots silent. As the guards turned the corner, she hit the lights. The hallway plunged into darkness. Seconds later, only the clack of a baton hitting the floor and a brief electric hum echoed out. Then silence. Cass muttered, "Show off." Inside the vault, the painting loomed, black oils and iridescent paints, rippling unnaturally in the dim light. It was wrong. Beautiful, dangerous. Cass reached toward it, but Ray's voice stopped her cold. "Don't touch the frame." Cass froze. "Why?" "It's pressure rigged. Lift it wrong and it releases halothane gas." Ray stepped forward, carefully moving a tiny suction device from her belt. Of course they do it during a video. Every time, y'all. Ray stepped forward, carefully removing a tiny suction device from her belt. "Let me do it." The painting came free with a whisper. They slid it into a flat reinforced case. Miles's voice returned in their ears. "Main elevators locked down. Go to sub-basement. Emergency stairwell leads to the maintenance exit." Ray nodded once. Time to vanish. As they ran, alarms finally blared to life, but they were already gone. Through the shadows and vents and steam-filled tunnels. That's worded a little weird. I feel like it should say through shadows, comma, vents, comma, and steam-filled tunnels. 30 minutes later, in a dusty garage from the glittering skyline, Ray opened the case. Inside was the fall of light. Cass stared at it. "You think the rumors are true? That it shows what's coming?" Ray studied it. Quiet. "No," she said. "I think it shows what already happened and why they've been hiding it." That's okay. Again, I feel the same way. I don't really feel like I know much about the characters' relationships with each other, how they reacted, other than that one line of like, "I love when you get bossy." Yeah, love when you get bossy. That gave me a little bit. I did like that. Again though, why do they want this painting? Why is it a problem? Why are they personally after it? Because in the beginning it said it's personal. What makes this job personal? Why is the job personal? What does the painting have against them in particular? What do they have against the painting? What don't they want people to know? What do they want people to know? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so those are all the prompts. Let me know in the comments what you think. My overall thoughts, I would say AI does personally scare me, and it definitely is getting stronger over time, and that really freaks me out. I feel like people in general are becoming like a lazy society. I think people already don't really want to think for themselves very much, and over time it's just gonna completely come to a point where most people, especially the younger kids in school right now, aren't gonna want to do anything for themselves. And yeah, that kind of sounds like I'm being a little bit extreme, but I do feel like we are headed in that direction. But I will say, out of all those things, and while I do think they're not terrible, I don't think they're great either. Like, I wouldn't have read that and thought that that was one of the best books I've ever read. Maybe not even a good book, maybe just, you know, like, yeah, that was a book and I read it and whatever. Again, because I feel like it's missing the human aspect. I think it's very obvious when something is written by a human, you know, you care about relationships, interactions with people, you know, why people are different, things like that. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, let me know how you feel about AI in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.